Oh, thank you. Revelation 15:3 and 4 is the song of Moses and the Lamb.
Okay, I'll read Revelation 15, verses 3 and 4. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty, just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints. Who shall not fear thee, O Lord, and glorify thy name? For thou only art holy, for all nations shall come and worship before thee, for thy judgments are made manifest.
Yeah, I always thought this meant that everybody would bow the knee. Do you think this was just the true believers coming from all the nations now to adore him?
Well, yes, in verse 1, we read of 7 angels having the 7 last plagues. And then in verse 2, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. And that indicates all of God's elect. Actually, that's speaking of the great multitude, because they got the victory over the beast. And the name of beast, or the title, is the name that God assigned to Satan exclusively for the period of great tribulation. And you cannot get the victory over the beast and his image and mark and so on until you've gone through the great tribulation, until you've completed the great tribulation. And then it can be said, now they've gotten the victory. And the victory is Judgment Day. That's why the 7 messengers carrying the 7 last plagues are about to go forth and pour out the vials of the 7 last plagues. The great tribulation is over. The victory has been won. And now it's time to judge Satan and his forces, all the unsaved people of the earth. And that's where the song of Moses comes in. You know, the song of the Lamb is a praise to God for his great salvation. The song of Moses identifies with judgment. Now, if you look back in Revelation 14, it says in Revelation 14, verse 1, And I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne, and before the 4 beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. And they're singing the song of the Lamb. They have harps, but they're not singing the song of Moses, because the 144,000 identify with the first fruits unto God that were saved out of the church age. But the great multitude, the ones that got the victory over the beast, sing the song of the Lamb as well as the song of Moses, which is really a pretty long song that you can read about in the book of Deuteronomy, where it speaks and goes into detail concerning God's judgment upon his people and upon the wicked. And so the ones that are spoken of in verse 4 are God's elect. There's no one else that's going to worship him. It's only those that God saves that are able to worship.